Air is a moment, not a loud one, not a lightning crash or a trumpet blast, but a quiet shift, like the soft click of a lock turning after years of trying the wrong key. That's when the old self begins to tremble, not because you forced it out, but because something higher has entered the room, and it knows its time is up. So if you feel a storm inside you, a strange discomfort with your life, your thoughts, your habits, your surroundings, you are not broken. You are birthing, because the version of you that's been surviving must step aside now for the version that is ready to live. And before we go further, I want to remind you, this is not a quick fix. This is not a 3-minute manifestation trick. This is a sacred ritual, a soul-fueled transformation that rewires your relationship to reality itself. So pause, take a breath, and stay with me to the end, not because you owe me anything, but because the next 60 minutes could resurrect everything you thought was lost. You came here to awaken, and that's exactly what we're going to do. It starts with this truth. You can't take your old self into the new dimension. You've prayed for abundance. You've written the affirmations. You've listened to the right podcasts, read the right books. But why hasn't it happened yet? Because while your mind reached forward, your identity stayed behind. And the universe doesn't respond to wishful thinking. It responds to alignment. It doesn't give you what you want. It mirrors who you are. So the version of you who doubts, who delays, who people pleases, who overthinks, who hides, that self cannot enter the gates of the life you've been shown in your visions. Not because you are being punished, but because that version simply doesn't carry the frequency to exist in that realm. Old thought patterns collapse at higher altitudes. Scarcity melts under divine trust. And people who've lied to you, used you, doubted you, mocked you, they disappear in the light of your transformation because they were only holding on to the older you. The you who tolerated crumbs. The you who apologized for your light. The you who mistook being nice for being invisible. But that's not you anymore. And the real work begins now. If you want a new reality, you have to build it with a new identity. So let's go deeper. Ask yourself, who is the version of me that already has the life I dream of? What does she believe about money? What does he say when he looks in the mirror? How does she carry herself? How does he respond when someone disrespects him? What does her morning feel like? What does his soul say at night? Now listen, you don't become that version by forcing change. You become it by shedding illusion. The illusion that you're not enough. The illusion that abundance must be earned through suffering. The illusion that you must fix yourself before you're worthy of love, ease, joy, or miracles. No, you strip it away, one lie at a time, until all that's left is the divine original, the blueprint God placed inside you before you were born. That is your true self, and it is already wealthy. It is already powerful. It is already chosen. You just forgot, but now you remember. Let me share something personal with you. There was a time I believed success had to come with struggle. I believed I had to deserve money, that I had to do more, prove more, be more, until I hit a wall made of burnout, bitterness, exhaustion, confusion. And in that silence, I heard something that changed everything. It said, "Your blessings are not outside of you. They are waiting on the version of you that believes you already have them." That broke me, but it also built me, because I realized it was never about chasing. It was always about choosing. Choosing the truth. Choosing the new self. Choosing to rise. And if you're still listening, then something inside you is already rising. So let's not stop now. Let's bury the old self, not with shame, but with reverence. Because that version of you did its best to survive. But now, we move into divine living. Speak this out loud with me now, even if it feels unfamiliar, even if your voice shakes. Say it with intention. Say it as a declaration. I release the version of me that feared their own power. I bury the version of me that accepted lack as normal. I am not who I used to be. I am not my past. I am not my mistakes. I am not the labels they gave me. I am the one who rises. I am the one who returns to truth. I am the one who remembers. My old self is gone. My new self is ready. And I accept this rebirth completely. Are you feeling that? That deep, holy silence that follows a powerful truth. Don't run from it. Sit with it. Let the shedding continue. Because when your inner world shifts, your outer world must obey. And I want you to hear this clearly. Your finances will shift. Your relationships will shift. Your health, your peace, your body, your spirit, all of it will rise to match your new alignment. That's not a motivational promise. That's a spiritual law. Because energy never lies. And the energy you carry now is different than the one who pressed play on this video. Stay with this frequency. Feed it daily. And never beg for what you've already been born to receive. You can feel it, can't you? The pull. That subtle tug at the edges of your being. Whispering, there's more to you than this. It's not loud, it's not demanding, but it doesn't go away. It waits in your reflection, in your silence, in the moment you close your eyes before sleep. And when you ignore it, it waits louder. This is the divine agitation, the holy unrest, the signal that your soul is too big for your current container, and the container must break. Not because you're broken, but because your next level doesn't fit inside this version of you. This is where most people run, because death of the old self isn't poetic, it's terrifying. You don't just wake up and become new. You bleed it out. You feel it as a shedding, a crumbling, a shattering of everything that once made sense. Routines, roles, reactions, relationships, gone. Because your new self isn't asking for a glow-up. It's asking for a resurrection. And resurrection doesn't come cheap. It will cost you the lies you believed to survive. It will ask you to face every borrowed belief that ever told you, you're too much, you're not enough. You don't deserve that. That's not for people like you. It will put a mirror in front of your deepest fears, not to shame you, but to free you. Because until you see what's holding you back, you can't loosen its grip. So let's look now, lovingly, without judgment. Just notice. Where do you still flinch? Where do you still hide? What do you still over-explain just to feel safe? That's where your old self is gripping tightly. But it's time. Time to say, I love you, but I'm not living in fear anymore. I needed you once. You protected me. But I don't need protection now. I need permission. And I give it to myself now, right now. Breathe. Close your eyes. Picture the version of you who knows they're worthy, not because of their productivity, not because of their past, but because they are. See them. See how they walk. See how they don't explain themselves to people who never earned the right to question them. See how they laugh, how they hold space, how they let abundance arrive, not because they force it, but because they are the frequency. And when the frequency is right, the world rearranges. You don't chase wealth anymore. You radiate it. You don't beg for validation. You embody truth. You don't hustle for scraps. You inherit the feast, because wealth was never a destination. It was a mirror. It reflects who you believe yourself to be. So let me ask you, who are you believing yourself to be in secret? Not what you say out loud, not what you post online. What do you whisper when no one's watching? When a bill shows up, when a blessing delays, when a door slams closed, what does the voice inside say? See, I knew it. That's just my luck. I never win. If so, you're not cursed. You're just in agreement with the old script. And agreements can be broken. Right here, right now. So speak this. I break all mental contracts with limitation, lack, and low self-worth. I sign a new agreement with expansion, with wealth, with divine sufficiency. Say it again, let the old code crack. I break all mental contracts with limitation, lack, and low self-worth. I sign a new agreement with expansion, with wealth, with divine sufficiency. Breathe. There it is. Feel the shift. You're not just listening to words. You're rewriting your reality. Because the subconscious doesn't learn by logic. It learns by rhythm, by repetition, by emotion. Every word you affirm is a brick in your new foundation. And soon, that foundation becomes a temple, a sanctuary where the old you cannot enter, where only alignment dwells, where overflow is normal. But let me be honest, that temple might feel empty at first. You'll wonder, where did everyone go? Why does it feel so lonely? Why is no one clapping for this new version of me? Because your old environment was built to match your old self. When you rise, not everyone rises with you, and that's not your fault. It's just the truth. When your vibration changes, your invitations do too. So as people exit, bless them. Don't chase the past. Don't shrink to fit where you no longer belong. Don't light yourself on fire to keep old patterns warm. Stay with yourself. Hold the vision. Hold the line. Hold the frequency. This part is sacred, and it's where most people give up. Right before the miracle arrives. Right before the manifestation materializes. Right before the breakthrough breaks through. Don't you dare retreat. Not this time. You've already walked through fire. Don't walk back into the ashes. Stay with me. Let's walk further. Let's open the next gate. Let's claim the wealth that's been waiting. Not out there, but in here. Inside the new self. The aligned self. The true self. Say this with me, and say it slowly. I remember who I am, and I allow all of life to respond. One more time. I remember who I am, and I allow all of life to respond. Let the remembrance shake loose the shame. Let the clarity melt the confusion. Let the wealth flow, not from effort, but from identity. Because your identity is the thermostat for your reality. Set it high. Set it holy. Set it on fire. Let the old self die so the new one can live. What happens when the identity you clung to starts to fall away? Not all at once, but slowly. Like petals from a dying flower. Like leaves in the hands of autumn. One belief at a time. One ego layer at a time. One illusion at a time. Until you look in the mirror and ask, who am I now? And the answer doesn't come. Not yet. Because the space between your old self and your new self isn't meant to be filled with noise. It's meant to be holy silence. This is the hallway, the sacred pause between no longer and not yet. And in that space, you are being rewritten, not punished, not rejected, but recalibrated. See, your old self was built for survival. It memorized lack. It adapted to disappointment. It wore sacrifice like a second skin. But your new self, oh, she's different. He is radiant. They are rooted. This version of you doesn't chase. They attract, align, command, not through arrogance, but through divine remembrance. You are remembering your original wiring, the coding beneath the conditioning, the truth beneath the trauma, the blueprint beneath the burden. And here's the most powerful thing you'll ever understand. Your reality is not built from your goals. It's built from your identity. If your subconscious still believes, I'm not worthy, I'm always overlooked, money isn't safe, no one sees me, then it doesn't matter what affirmations you say. They'll bounce off the walls of an unhealed self. So before you try to manifest anything, you must become someone new, someone healed, someone whole, someone who doesn't beg the universe, but walks with it, shoulder to shoulder, heart to heart. That's alignment. It's not about saying the right things. It's about becoming the person who expects good, who assumes overflow, who receives with ease. So let's begin that becoming right now. Place one hand over your heart and the other hand open to receive. Now speak this aloud. I release the version of me who was addicted to struggle. I release the identity built in survival. I welcome the self who trusts, who allows, who receives wealth like breath. Say it again. Let the old self hear it. I release the version of me who was addicted to struggle. I release the identity built in survival. I welcome the self who trusts, who allows, who receives wealth like breath. Now breathe. That's it. Feel that? It's not hype. It's home. You are not becoming someone fake. You're just removing the dust, so your light can finally shine through. Because the real you was never broken, just buried, under guilt, under shame, under years of being told you were too much or not enough. But hear me, those opinions were never divine, and your truth doesn't require consensus. You are not here to be palatable. You are here to be powerful. Let your power make people uncomfortable. Let your worth whisper louder than your wounds. Let your being do the work. Because the more you try to convince others, the more you drain your frequency. And your frequency is everything. You don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you are. So let's elevate what you are. Let's anchor into the truth that never left you. Repeat after me. I am not broken. I am being rebuilt. I am not lost. I am being led. I am not behind, right on divine time. Again, slower. I am not broken. I am being rebuilt. I am not lost. I am being led. I am not behind. I am right on divine time. Now let that truth ripple through every cell. See, the universe doesn't operate on hustle. It operates on harmony. When your inner world aligns, the outer world obeys. Doors open, checks arrive, connections flow, solutions appear. Not because you forced it, but because you finally stopped resisting. Resistance is the language of the old self. It says, "Nothing's ever easy. I have to figure this out alone. People always disappoint me. If I don't do it, no one will." But what if you trusted the process? What if you allowed rest to be part of your rise? What if you believed that slowing down wasn't falling behind, it was falling into place? What if the very thing you were taught to avoid, stillness, was actually the key to your speed? Because when your inner world quiets, you can hear divine instruction. You move from guessing to knowing, from doubting to declaring, from forcing to flowing. And in that flow, wealth lives. Not just financial wealth, but relational wealth, spiritual wealth, emotional wealth. Peace becomes your new currency. Joy becomes your new default. You no longer chase what doesn't serve you. You draw in what was already yours, because you finally believe you're worthy of it, not just in theory, but in every thought, every word, every frequency you carry. And this is what scares your old self most. You no longer need her. You're not clinging. You're not catering. You're not trying to save people who don't want saving. You're not exhausting yourself in rooms where you are never seen. You're walking out with grace, with clarity, with wealth in your wake. So say this with me. I no longer shrink to stay safe. I no longer apologize for my expansion. I no longer confuse struggle with strength. Let it land, because your softness is strength, your stillness is sacred, and your surrender is not defeat. It's divine strategy. Let go. Let the old self grieve if it must. But don't go back to what broke you just because it's familiar. Let this be your declaration. My new self isn't coming. She's here. He's here. They're here. And we're not going back. Breathe. You've crossed the threshold. Now the real becoming begins. There comes a moment when silence feels louder than sound, where you've spoken all the affirmations, read all the books, burned all the sage, and yet you still feel the weight. Not of failure, but of shedding. The ache you carry now is not because you're wrong. It's because you're right. You're aligned, and everything that isn't is being shaken loose. This is not resistance. This is resurrection. You are rising. And sometimes that rise doesn't look like fireworks. It looks like loneliness. It sounds like distance. It feels like quiet loss. But hidden inside that quiet is the most powerful shift of your life. You are choosing you without needing permission. You are prioritizing peace over performance. You are no longer contorting to fit into rooms you've outgrown. You are no longer twisting your truth to stay palatable for those who prefer your silence. This is the moment when your soul takes the steering wheel, and your ego, terrified, kicks and screams in the back seat. But you don't stop the journey. You hold the wheel with trembling hands and drive forward anyway. Because what lies ahead is you, the real you, unfiltered, unmasked, unshaken. The you who says, I no longer live for applause. I live for alignment. Say it with me now. I no longer live for applause. I live for alignment. Let it echo. Because here's what they don't tell you. You will lose people when you find yourself. You will lose habits. You will lose coping mechanisms that once felt like safety, but were really your shackles. And it will feel like death, because it is. But on the other side of that death is liberation. And what is freedom, if not the ability to breathe without asking for approval? That's what you're claiming now. Breath, ease, wealth, truth. You're not waiting for validation anymore. You're not performing for scraps of love. You're not chasing proximity to people who never truly saw you. You're coming home. And home is sacred. Say this aloud. I return to me. I release every version of myself created to survive environments I no longer live in. Say it again. I return to me. I release every version of myself created to survive environments I no longer live in. Let your bones hear it. Let your spirit relax into it. Because this declaration rewires everything. You are no longer a prisoner of your past. You are the architect of your now. And architects don't explain their blueprints to those who can't see the vision. So stop explaining. Stop convincing. Stop softening your brilliance to avoid intimidating the mediocre. Your light was not meant to dim. It was meant to disrupt. Let it. Let your wealth make noise. Let your joy be inconvenient. Let your becoming be unignorable. Because the world needs more of who you really are. Not the version that was taught to play it small, but the version that remembers. You came here on assignment. You were encoded with divine genius. You are the living proof that light walks in human skin. And when you rise, you give others permission to rise too. So rise loudly. Rise unapologetically. Rise with tears in your eyes and fire in your chest. Rise until your ancestors recognize their prayers in your voice. Rise until every no you ever received turns into a redirection that brought you here, to this moment, to this message, to this mirror. Because everything you've lost was never meant to stay. And everything you need is already inside you, waiting, watching, whispering, welcome home. Now say this with me, slowly, let it take root. I no longer fear the quiet. I no longer chase what left. I no longer wear pain as proof of love. I allow softness. I allow overflow. I allow miracles to find me easily. Again, even slower. I no longer fear the quiet. I no longer chase what left. I no longer wear pain as proof of love. I allow softness. I allow overflow. I allow miracles to find me easily. Breathe. Let this be your new normal. Let this be your reintroduction to life. Because the version of you that lives on the other side of healing, she's not just stronger. She's lighter. He's freer. They're magnetic, and they don't need to prove a thing, because they are the proof. A proof that rebirth is real, that softness is sacred, that wealth flows to the worthy, and worth was never something you earned. It was something you remembered. So as you walk forward from here, walk like someone who knows they are chosen, ordained, guided, held. Walk like the ground was made for your feet, like time bends to your obedience, like money answers your name. Because when the old self dies, the whole world rearranges itself to meet the real you. And that is the most divine miracle of all. There's a silence that arrives, not from emptiness, but from expansion. It comes after the storm, after the shedding, after the old self has finally fallen to its knees. And in that silence, a new rhythm begins. A softer one, a slower one, a wiser one. This rhythm doesn't rush. It doesn't beg. It doesn't pretend. It simply knows. It knows that what's meant for you is no longer something to chase, but something you align with. It knows that your wealth has already been spoken into existence. It knows that the moment you stopped pleading, the gates began to open. And now, you don't run toward the future. You receive it. You prepare your home, your heart, your calendar, your wallet for overflow. You clear the space. You stretch the muscles of your worth. You stand at the door of your becoming, with hands open, not clenched, because you finally understand receiving is not weakness. It's worship. Let that line anchor in. Receiving is not weakness. It's worship. You were not created to struggle your way into glory. You were not designed to deserve love through exhaustion. You were made to remember. Remember what? That the old version of you was survival. But this version is sacred. Because this version finally realizes that pain is not your proof of virtue. You don't need to bleed to prove that you're worthy of blessing. You don't need to shrink to fit into anyone else's comfort zone. You don't need to tolerate what dishonors you in the name of keeping the peace. Because real peace never asks you to betray yourself. Repeat this softly. Real peace never asks me to betray myself. No, again. Real peace never asks me to betray myself. You see, every time you betrayed your needs to be liked, every time you swallowed your truth to avoid judgment, every time you stayed silent when your soul was screaming, you weren't weak. You were learning what parts of yourself still thought survival was love. But now you know. Love doesn't demand disappearance. Love doesn't ask you to erase your glow just to keep others from squinting. Love holds space for your full expression. And you, child of divine design, are allowed to shine so brightly that your past becomes blind to you, because the past has no passport to the future you are building. Let that sink in. The past has no passport to the future I am building. And what you're building now isn't just a life. It's a legacy. A way of walking through the world that says, I remember who I am, and I will no longer bargain with my birthright. Say that out loud now. I remember who I am, and I will no longer bargain with my birthright. This is how the new self speaks, with clarity, with conviction, with calm. Because once you've buried the old self, there's nothing left to prove. You're not trying to win back anyone. You're not looking over your shoulder. You're not performing worthiness in hopes of applause. You're walking forward with grace as your armor and truth as your sword. You've dropped the act. You've shed the mask. You've reclaimed the mirror. And in that mirror, you finally see yourself again. Not the version they sculpted, not the version they expected, not the version you built just to survive, but you, whole, soft, unapologetic. You've become the storm and the stillness, the boundary and the balm, the teacher and the temple, and nothing, absolutely nothing can unmake what has been reborn in truth. So pause here and say this slowly. I am no longer afraid of my power. I am no longer ashamed of my gifts. I am no longer shrinking to be understood. I speak with authority. I live with clarity. I move with divine certainty. One more time. I am no longer afraid of my power. I am no longer ashamed of my gifts. I am no longer shrinking to be understood. I speak with authority. I live with clarity. I move with divine certainty. This is the posture of your rise. Not loud, not defensive, not urgent, but grounded, rooted, royal, the kind of rise that doesn't need to explain itself, the kind of wealth that doesn't need to shout to be seen. Because when it's real, it radiates. And what's coming to you now, it's not random. It's a result of the inner shifts no one saw, the silent choices no one celebrated, the midnight declarations you whispered when doubt screamed. This is your harvest, and it's only just beginning. There is a moment in every transformation when the new life feels unfamiliar. It's not because you've done something wrong. It's because you've stepped into a reality you once only imagined. And even beauty can feel foreign when you've lived too long in survival. That's what no one tells you. They say, just manifest the life you want. But they don't prepare you for the awkward, in-between silence. The pause between who you were and who you're becoming. The world looks the same, but you feel different. And that's the evidence. Not the mansion, not the millions, not the miracles, but the stillness inside you that no longer panics when nothing is happening. That stillness is your wealth. That stillness is your proof. Let's sit in it for a moment. Let's honor the part of you that doesn't chase anymore. Because now you attract, you align, you allow, and you understand what's meant for you doesn't rush in panic. It arrives in peace. Say this with me. what's meant for me arrives in peace. Again, what's meant for me arrives in peace. This is the medicine your nervous system needed. This is the oxygen your old self never had. You don't need to earn oxygen. You breathe because you exist. And in the same way, you don't need to earn abundance. You receive because you're aligned. So now, you move like someone who's already loved. You walk like someone who's already chosen. You speak like someone who already owns the room. Because you do. Because when your words are clean, your path becomes clear. I've become the person I needed. Say it again. I've become the person I needed. And now that you are that person, you no longer need validation to believe it. You no longer wait for approval to act. You no longer shrink in rooms that weren't built to hold your truth. The shame of succeeding alone. Yes, alone. Because here's the secret they don't whisper in self-help books. The rise is often lonely, but it's not a punishment. It's protection. Not everyone gets to witness your wings. Not everyone can handle your altitude. But that doesn't mean you fold yourself in half to ride in their car. You weren't built for the back seat. You're the driver now. And your hands are steady, but it leads to everything your old self thought was impossible. And still, you continue. Why? Because you've tasted truth, not performative. It required deaths. The death of old thinking. The death of old patterns. The death of who you pretended to be. But what's been born now is real. Rooted, resilient, radiant. And this version of you, she doesn't wait for doors. She builds temples. She doesn't beg for crumbs. She speaks commands. She doesn't fear the mirror. Don't rush the waiting room. It's where your wings grow. And don't mourn the old self too long. She served her purpose. But she doesn't get to lead the future. That is your job now. There is a silence that comes after the storm. Not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of arrival. You've fought. You've surrendered. You've let go of lifetimes of beliefs that were never yours. And now, you're here. Not where the world said you'd be. Not where fear tried to hold you. But here, in the quiet glow of your becoming. Take a breath. Feel it. You've done what most never do. You died to who you were, to give birth to something truer. And now, the question isn't, will I succeed? The question is, can I receive what I've become? Because that's the final test. Not effort, not hustle, but reception. To allow the wealth that's been circling you to finally land. To open your palms and say without trembling, I am ready to hold it all. Say it now. I am ready to hold it all. This is sacred territory. Not everyone will understand how deeply you've rebuilt your inner world, but that's not your job anymore. Your job is to receive. Receive rest without guilt. Receive love without performing. Receive money without proving. Receive support without shame. Your old self was addicted to effort. She believed if she stopped, everything would collapse. But you've discovered a greater law. That stillness holds what striving could never carry. That peace attracts what panic repels. That alignment is louder than any scream into the void. And now, you move with quiet certainty. Because the universe doesn't respond to volume, it responds to vibration. And your vibration is steady, subtle, sacred, sure. You no longer chase, you calibrate. You no longer strive, you synchronize. You no longer demand, you declare. Say this: my vibration is my declaration. Again, my vibration is my declaration. Let the words soften your system. Let the truth land in your bones. Because this is how new timelines are formed. Not through noise, but through knowing. And you know now. You know you were never here to beg. You were born to broadcast. To walk into rooms and shift the atmosphere. To speak truths that shatter ceilings. To live so fully aligned that lack has no doorway left to enter. This is wealth. Not the number, not the title, not the applause, but the full ownership of who you are and who you refuse to be anymore. So now, you don't force relationships that drain your light. You don't keep habits that betray your future. You don't wear costumes for comfort. You walk in truth. You walk in purpose. You walk barefoot if you must, but never backward. Because you've come too far to kneel at old altars. Say this softly: I will never kneel to what I've outgrown. Again, I will never kneel to what I've outgrown. And now let's anchor a new code. Say it with authority. I allow myself to receive because I am safe now. Again, I allow myself to receive because I am safe now. Feel that. The old you was wired for war. But this you is built for wealth, built for ease, built for divine supply that never runs dry. Let that supply flow in now. Let it fill your hands. Let it wrap your body. Let it breathe through your life like honey and gold. This is not fantasy. This is frequency. And your new self, she carries it like breath, like prayer, like inheritance. Because it is. You've inherited yourself, and in doing so, you've unlocked the door to everything else. Not through striving, but through release. Not through proving, but through presence. And the world, the right world, is now rearranging itself to meet you. People, places, opportunities. Not random, not coincidence, but response. Say this with reverence. The world is responding to my rise. And breathe. You don't have to know how. You only have to know who you are now. Because this version of you doesn't flinch at the unknown. She invites it. She welcomes what's higher than her past. She trusts what's richer than her history. She becomes what her old self was too afraid to dream of. And that is the true wealth. The kind that cannot be taxed. The kind that doesn't depreciate. The kind that multiplies in stillness. And now you hold it, not in your wallet, but in your being. Say this before we close. My wealth begins in my being. My wealth begins in my being. Let this be the new foundation. Let this be the new beginning. There's a moment, a holy pause when you realize you don't have to earn your way forward anymore. You just have to align. No more chasing. No more proving. No more battling shadows just to feel worthy of light. You're not here to fight for your future. You're here to match it. Close your eyes. Breathe into this truth. I am already aligned with what's mine. Feel how those words shift your spine. Soften your jaw. Settle your heart. Because for the first time, you're not building a life out of fear. You're building from clarity, from devotion, from knowing that you are not behind. You are in perfect divine rhythm. Say it. I am not behind. I am right on time. Say it again, slower. I am not behind. I am right on time. That was never just a comfort. It was a commandment. Because everything that once delayed you, every betrayal, every heartbreak, every wrong turn, it built the bandwidth you now carry. It made space for a deeper version of you to emerge. Not the performative self, not the approval-chasing self, but the self that breathes in truth and exhales power. Let's speak directly to her now. You don't need to explain your growth to those who only knew your wounds. Say it again, and that's the cost of your becoming. You will lose the people you once had to shrink to keep, but you will gain yourself. Say this now. Losing them was the price of keeping me. Pause. Feel that in your bones. You didn't just leave the old version of yourself. You resurrected the original. The one before shame, before silence, before sacrifice became survival. And now she walks forward, barefoot, unapologetic, blessed. Not because she earned it, but because she claimed it. I claim what was already mine in heaven. That is your wealth code. Not hustle, not obsession, not begging the universe like a stranger, but claiming your inheritance as a daughter of divine design. Say it again. I claim what was already mine in heaven. You're not here to attract scraps. You're here to anchor supply, to walk in rooms and carry peace so heavy it silences doubt, to stand at thresholds and watch new doors swing wide open, not because you demanded them to, but because your energy whispered, I'm ready. You don't force what's next. You fuse with it. You don't push the timing. You partner with it. You don't chase your calling. You channel it. Let's declare it now. My calling flows through me. I do not chase what I already carry. Say it again. I do not chase what I already carry. This is divine remembrance. This is wealth consciousness, stripped of desperation and wrapped in devotion. You don't have to scream to be heard. You don't have to ache to be blessed. You don't have to suffer to earn what grace already assigned. Say this. It is safe to receive in joy. Yes, it is safe to receive in joy. Let that be the new rhythm. Not suffering, not sacrifice, not struggle, but joy, ease, wholeness. You are the proof that healing doesn't have to be dramatic to be divine. That wealth doesn't need to be forced, only welcomed. And that the old self, she was never your final form. She was your chrysalis. But this is your emergence. Say it one last time. This is my emergence. Say it like you mean it. This is my emergence. And now, let it begin. There is a sound, a sacred silence that wraps itself around your new becoming. Not everyone hears it, but you do, because you've emptied out the noise. You've swept the inner rooms. You've made space for the divine to echo through you. Make me a channel, not a container. You don't hoard the blessings anymore. You circulate them. You don't fear the overflow. You prepare for it. Say it slowly. I am ready for the overflow. I am safe in the overflow. Because the new you doesn't collapse under blessing. She expands inside it. She doesn't shrink when seen. She shines without apology. She doesn't hesitate to ask because she knows. The ask was never begging. It was alignment. Let this drop in. My bold ask is a form of sacred trust. Say it again. My bold ask is a form of sacred trust. You are no longer asking the universe with your head down, hoping not to be punished for wanting more. You are asking from the throne of your worth, from the altar of your awareness, from the well of your wisdom. Because when you finally see yourself as divine, everything else follows. The money, the mentors, the moments of radical breakthrough, they follow you. Say it out loud. What I seek is already seeking me. And again, what I seek is already seeking me. Let that be your frequency, not desperation, but direction. Because this path you're on, it's not linear. It loops. It spirals. It pauses and pulses and brings you back again and again to one sacred question. Will you trust me this time? Will you trust that the delay isn't denial? Will you trust that the pause is preparation? Will you trust that your gift isn't lost in the silence? It's being refined. You are not forgotten. You are being forged. And in this forging, your voice becomes sharper. Your presence becomes fuller. Your wealth becomes more magnetic. Let's claim that. My presence is magnetic. My timing is divine. My wealth is inevitable. One more time. My presence is magnetic. My timing is divine. My wealth is inevitable. Let it pour through your being like gold. No more second guessing. No more shrinking back. No more pretending to be confused just to stay comfortable. You know. You've always known. You're not here to keep living on emotional crumbs. You're not here to stay in circles that call your power too much. You are here to rise as the evidence of what happens when a woman becomes fully aligned. So speak to the old patterns. Thank you for keeping me safe, but I am safe without you now. Say it again. Thank you for keeping me safe, but I am safe without you now. Because what you're choosing isn't just a new result, it's a new route, a new origin story, a new way of being in the world that doesn't wait for permission, a life that glows from within and leads from love. You don't need a script anymore. You are the transmission. Your aura teaches. Your silence instructs. Your presence blesses. Say it now. My presence blesses every room I enter. Yes, let that be your atmosphere. Let that be your confidence. You don't have to explain why you've changed. You don't have to justify your joy. You don't need approval to become undeniable. You are who you are because God wrote it that way. Because Source trusted you with this exact assignment. You are not random. You are reverent. And your rise, it's not just about you. It's a signal to every woman still doubting, still dimming, still drowning in a life that's too small. That it's safe to choose again, to choose alignment over loyalty, to choose truth over tradition, to choose freedom over fear. So we end with this. I rise for myself. I rise for my lineage. I rise because I must. Say it again, loud. I rise because I must. And so you do. There's a moment in every rising where silence wraps itself around you like a second skin. Where the voices fade, where the applause quiets, where no one sees what you're birthing, but you know something holy is taking place. Don't rush that silence. Don't curse it, because in that silence, your wings are forming. Say this gently to yourself. I trust the silence. I trust the forming. I trust what I cannot yet see. This is the part of the becoming that doesn't make it to the highlight reel. No one claps for the moment you almost gave up, but didn't. No one celebrates the time you cried while rewriting your boundaries, but you did it anyway. These invisible victories, they are sacred. They are seeds, and the harvest is already on its way. Whisper this into your bones. Nothing is being wasted. Even now, I am being prepared. There is no backwards. Even your breakdowns became bridges. Even your detours were directions. Even your delays were divine design. Because you never left the path, you were the path. You didn't miss it, you are it. Say that now. I didn't miss it. I am it. You'll know it's true when you stop performing and start embodying. When you don't have to shout about what's coming, because your peace already carries the announcement. You don't need a microphone to echo through the spirit realm. Your calm is your confirmation. Your stillness speaks volumes, and your clarity, that's wealth. Let it sink in. My clarity attracts. My peace protects. My presence provides. Yes, this is the frequency of the risen you. She doesn't beg. She doesn't chase. She doesn't prove. She simply knows. She walks into rooms that used to intimidate her and blesses them with her radiance. She faces old triggers and responds with grace instead of panic. She sees people she once idolized and remembers, they're not above me. They were just early. Say it now. No one is above me. I arrive on divine timing. And that timing, it is not late. It is not fragile. It does not depend on the market, on your followers, or on anyone else's permission slip. It's yours. Because what's for you was designed to find you, even if it had to cross oceans of delay to do it. Say this out loud. What's for me is faithful. Again, what's for me is faithful. Let that phrase walk beside you when the doubts try to speak louder than destiny. Anchor you when your mind replays old betrayals. Let it hush the voices that once convinced you that you had to earn what was already yours. You're done with that now. You're done begging for crumbs from tables you were meant to own. You're done twisting yourself into shades to fit into rooms that can't hold your truth. You're done. Say it. I am done shrinking. I am done delaying. I am done pretending. Because something sacred is happening now, and it's not external. It's not a new job, a new launch, a new title. It's a new you. A you that walks with a quiet kind of power. A you that blesses others without betraying yourself. A you that doesn't just speak abundance, but radiates it. Say it slowly. I radiate abundance. I embody overflow. Yes, this is the turning point, the part where the old rules lose their grip. Where you stop checking who's watching and just become. You don't have to convince anyone anymore. You don't have to be understood. You only have to be aligned. So breathe this in. Let my life be the proof. Let my peace be the evidence. Let my rise be the ripple. And let it begin right now. There's something sacred about the 11th hour. the air feels different. The silence deepens. Time slows, as if the universe itself is leaning in to watch what you'll do next. And this is where most people quit. Right before the floodgates open. Right before the promise manifests. Right before everything turns. But you're not most people. Say it now. I am not most people. I don't fold in the final hour. I rise. Yes, because this part of your path requires no audience, no applause, no reassurance, no roadmap, only obedience, only alignment, only breath after breath of unwavering belief in what cannot yet be seen. You've died to old timelines. You've grieved false identities. You've outgrown every lie that said your destiny had an expiration date. So say this now. I am not late. I am eternal. Because you're not trying to catch a wave. You are the ocean, and no storm can drown what's divine. Pause here and feel how much you've survived. The nights you thought would break you. The betrayals that hollowed your heart. The shame that tried to silence your voice. But you kept going. You kept loving. You kept sowing light, even when you were surrounded by shadows. You planted forgiveness where others planted control. You chose healing where others chose ego. And now the universe is responding. Say this slowly. I am in conversation with the divine, and it's speaking favor. You may not hear it yet. You may not see the full picture, but the frequency is shifting. The path is clearing. The doors that felt welded shut for years are beginning to creak. You've been anointed in private, and now it's time to receive in public. Say that again. I receive in public what I sowed in private. Not because you forced it, but because you aligned with it. Your breakthrough isn't a reward for pain. It's the natural result of walking in truth. You didn't manipulate. You didn't beg. You trusted. And trust has a frequency that bends reality. Whisper this to your soul. I am not waiting. I am magnetizing. Yes, the old self would have chased, would have grasped, would have doubted every delay. But that version of you was built on fear. And fear has no authority here anymore. You are not building from scarcity. You are building from sacred knowing that every no was protection, that every closed door was divinely redirected timing, that every rejection was redirection into deeper truth. So breathe this in. I bless the closed doors. I thank the delays. I honor the process. Because the new version of you doesn't seek validation. She carries revelation. She doesn't hustle for belonging. She remembers her origin. She came from wholeness. She returns to wholeness. She builds from wholeness. Say it boldly. I am whole. I am chosen. I am ready. And the moment you say that, the earth moves. Not because of noise, but because of clarity. Your clarity rearranges timelines. It invites provision. It summons alignment. It makes you magnetic to miracles that used to feel distant. So let this be your mantra. My clarity calls it in. Again, my clarity calls it in. Say it until every cell in your body believes it. Because this is how worlds are rebuilt. Not by force, but by faithful declaration. Not by panic, but by persistent peace. And now it's your turn to speak with power. to name what is yours before you see it, to embody what you've become before others recognize it, to walk like the promise has already been delivered, because it has, in the unseen, in the spirit, in the divine mind, it's already finished. Now say this with fire: it is done, it is sealed, it is mine. Let that declaration echo through dimensions. Let it shake the dust off your old identity. Let it be the birth cry of your next becoming, because the new you isn't waiting for evidence. The new you is the evidence. You made it. To the edge of the fire, to the threshold of the promise, to the final breath of who you used to be. This is the moment. Not the moment when it ends, but the moment when it begins. Because when the old self dies, the real self is born. No more pretending, no more shrinking, no more trying to fit into a life you've already outgrown. This is the resurrection. This is the release. Say it with full knowing. I lay down who I was so I can rise as who I am. Not who they told you to be. Not who trauma trained you to become. Not who the world rewarded with temporary safety, but who your soul has always known you were. The true self, the bold self, the self that remembers. You are not here to survive cycles. You are here to break them. You are here to restore divine order where there was only chaos, to breathe light into rooms that have forgotten the sun, to carry peace into places where anxiety once ruled. You're not just rising for yourself. You are rising for generations. Every time you say no to the old patterns, you say yes to a future your ancestors only dreamed of. So speak this with fire. My healing is ancestral. My rising is generational. My obedience is eternal. Because this path is not just personal, it is sacred. And the old you, she wasn't a failure. She was a foundation. Every heartbreak taught you to choose yourself. Every delay taught you patience in divine timing. Every betrayal taught you discernment. Every loss taught you how to let go. You were never broken. You were being built. Now, the construction is complete. The temple has been cleared. The veil has been lifted. The voice has returned. Say it softly. I hear myself again. And this time, you don't doubt what you hear. You don't override your intuition to keep other people comfortable. You don't ignore red flags just to stay connected. You don't sacrifice your soul to avoid loneliness. You have walked through the fire, and the fire bowed to your becoming. So now you rise not as the same person in better clothes, but as a new creation. Say it clear. I am new, and not just new, anointed, crowned with clarity, marked by purpose, draped in divine wisdom no one can take away. This is the fruit of the inner work. This is the reward of the hidden season. This is the echo of a soul that refused to quit. So now, what? Now you walk differently. You walk like the universe is conspiring in your favor. You walk like wealth has been waiting for you. You walk like your presence is the answer to someone's prayer, because it is. Your voice heals. Your story frees. Your very breath is sacred. The old self chased purpose, but the new self embodies it. Say it with no hesitation. I am the purpose. I am the gift. I am the alignment. And the world responds to those who know. So don't look back. There's nothing for you in that graveyard. Let the old identity rest. Let the masks decompose. Let the doubt stay buried. Because you're not a survivor of your past. You're the architect of your future. Breathe that in. I am building from truth. I am building from trust. I am building from divine design. And now, a blessing for the road ahead. May your next steps feel light. Because the burdens were never yours to carry. May your decisions be swift, because clarity now guides your every move. May your voice never tremble, because you no longer speak from fear, but from authority. May your days overflow with miracles, the kind that feel like homecoming, the kind that whisper, "Welcome back. We've been waiting for you." Because they have. Everything you asked for has been orbiting your field, waiting for you to drop the disguise, waiting for you to leave the grave, waiting for you to say yes to your true self. And now you're here. Say it one last time from the deepest part of you. The old me has died, the new me has risen, and I am ready. Let that be the sound that shifts the universe.